You're scrolling through your feed, minding your own business, probably trying to figure out if that cat video is actually funny or if you just need more coffee. But then it starts. The same artists, everywhere. You don't follow them, you've never even liked their posts, yet here they are, popping up like a bad penny, over and over again. Later, on your commute, same deal. The radio plays the same 5 artists like it's stuck on a loop. At the gym, same names on every playlist. You listen, you try to get into it, but it's all so short, so repetitive, so utterly uninspired. It's like someone gave an algorithm a caffeine addiction and told it to write a hit. You search for a real artist you love, someone with actual talent and a soul. And somehow, these same overexposed names pop up right next to them, even if they sing a genre that sounds like nails on a chalkboard compared to your taste. You're thinking, is this some kind of fever dream? Am I crazy? Why is no one I know even talking about these musical ghosts in the machine? Well, my friend, you're not crazy. You're simply a tiny, unsuspecting pawn in a calculated, dirty machine. A machine so expertly oiled, it's rigging who gets seen, who gets heard, and frankly, who gets to exist in our collective cultural memory. Welcome to the music industry. Grab a snack, maybe a strong beverage, because we need to talk. Long before Spotify turned listening into a mathematical equation, before TikTok made 15-second dances the arbiters of fame, and before streaming counts decided careers, the industry was already a master manipulator. They were rigging charts, manufacturing stars, and let's be honest, lying to your grandma about what was really a hit. Let's talk payola. No, not some fancy pasta dish, but the illegal practice of paying radio stations to repeatedly spin certain songs. It's essentially a musical bribe. Labels would grease the palms of DJs to spin their artists, even if the public wasn't requesting them. It was the original listen to this, or else strategy. They even faked call-ins from fans asking for songs that, let's be real, no one actually wanted to hear. They created the illusion of a hit, long before Billboard ever tracked a single stream or knew what a viral challenge was. But the manipulation didn't stop at radio. Artists being pushed by the machine suddenly appeared everywhere. They were perpetually plastered on music video countdowns, had their own dedicated interview segments, and showed up on every major talk show. It was saturation marketing, designed to pound their image into your brain until you simply had to like them. And if that wasn't enough, they even found ways to rig jukeboxes. Yes, those old school music dispensers to favor their tracks. Remember those fan contests where you sent in postcards? Sometimes those were rigged too, with fake fan contests just to generate buzz and make it seem like there was overwhelming public demand. It was a full court press of fabricated popularity. They'd even deploy street teams, basically foot soldiers armed with cash and a shopping list, to buy physical copies at key stores. Why? Because Billboard, bless its heart, only pulled sales data from certain retail chains back then. So, if you could manipulate just a few strategic locations, you could skew the entire national chart. It was a simpler time for simpler scams. And what about the actual music? Well, even the voices weren't always real. Take Milli Vanilli. They were a global phenomenon. Pop stars with shiny hair and even shinier Grammys. The only problem? They didn't sing a single word on their records. The label used ghost vocalists and marketed a lip-syncing duo. Turns out, their biggest hit was actually lip-syncing their own lip-syncing. A true meta scam. And it wasn't just them. Remember Jennifer Lopez's early hits? Turns out, some of those catchy vocals came from uncredited artists like Ashanti and Christina Milian. Yeah, they literally sang parts of the hits J.Lo got credit for. It's like ordering a gourmet meal, only to find out the chef hired a stunt double for the cooking. The image was the product, not necessarily the music itself, which, if you think about it, is a pretty terrifying foreshadowing of our current reality. So, How does Billboard, the keeper of the musical scoreboard, actually calculate chart placement today? It's a formula so vague, so ever-changing, and so ridiculously complex, it might as well be written in ancient Sumerian. But let's simplify it for laughs, and then look at how they weigh these factors. One digital sale, that's your iTunes or Amazon purchase, equals 1 unit. Pretty straightforward. One physical album sale also equals 1 unit. Because apparently, holding something tangible is still worth something. But here's where it gets spicy. 1,250 premium streams, that's your Spotify or Apple Music subscription streams, equal 1 unit. And for the cheap seats, 3,750 ad-supported streams, like YouTube Free or Pandora Free, equal 1 unit. Yeah, you gotta listen to a lot of ads to count as a single unit of success. Even YouTube music video views are counted, but they're fractional units, weighted like a feather in a hurricane. Now, here's the kicker. Billboard doesn't just add up these units equally. The different elements, sales, radio airplay, and streaming, are given different weights, and these percentages can subtly shift week to week. Generally speaking, for the Hot 100 chart, streaming is by far the most dominant, often accounting for 50 to 70% of a song's chart points. Radio airplay remains significant, typically making up 20 to 40%. Pure sales, digital and physical, are now the smallest slice of the pie, usually in the 5 to 15% range. Let's break this down. Streams, 10 million streams. Let's say Billboard counts 1,500 streams equals 1 unit. So, 10 million divided by 1,500 is equal to 6,667 units. This is X. Radio, 50 million audience impressions. Let's say 5,000 impressions equals 1 unit. So, 50 million divided by 5,000 is equal to 10,000 units. This is Y. Sales, 5,000 copies sold. One sale equals 1 unit. So, 5,000 is equal to 5,000 units. This is Z. Now we calculate total chart points. 6,667 units, 60% equals 4,000.2. Y. 10,000 units, 30% equals 3,000. Z. 5,000 units, 10% equals 500. Total chart points equals 4,000.2 plus 3,000 plus 500 is equal to 7,500.2. I know that was a lot. Imagine two songs with vastly different numbers. One might have moderate streams, huge radio play, but no sales. Another might have massive streams, little radio, and a few thousand sales. Billboard's secret algorithm then blends these weighted units to spit out the final chart position. The problem? Billboard's exact formula and the precise weighting each week is about as transparent as a black hole. It's vague, it's constantly shifting, and it's about as easily manipulated as a puppet on a string by those who know how to pump up the most heavily weighted metrics. Which, ironically, means it's perfect for the music industry. Now, let's talk about the digital Wild West, streaming fraud. If you thought artists buying their own physical albums was quaint, prepare for the glorious absurdity of the internet. Today, aspiring artists, or rather, their ambitious marketing teams, can buy bot streams, thousands, even millions of fake plays, making it look like their track is blowing up. Fake followers, instant credibility on social media, because nothing says real artists like 10 million followers who are all bot accounts named XYZ_fan_8765. Playlist placements, bribing their way onto popular playlists, because if you're not on chill vibes for studying, do you even exist? And the labels? Oh, they're not just in on it, they wrote the playbook. They are the masterminds behind the curtain, pulling the digital strings. They create viral TikTok moments using armies of paid influencer teams. It's not spontaneous organic virality, it's a strategically planned invasion of your For You page. They also use sophisticated data farms and highly specialized marketing teams. If a song sounds like it's being force-fed to you, it probably is. Buy up monthly listeners from shady third parties like they're going out of style. Because why wait for actual fans when you can just pay for a million fake ones? And sometimes, the alleged manipulation comes from even higher up. Take Tidal, the streaming service once co-owned by artists like Jay-Z and Beyoncé. In 2018 to 2019, it faced a serious investigation in Norway over claims it falsified streaming numbers for albums like Beyoncé's Lemonade and Kanye West's The Life of Pablo. The accusation? Inflating play counts by hundreds of millions of false streams, which would mean inflated royalty payouts for its artist owners at the expense of other legitimate artists on the platform. It shows that even the platforms themselves, especially those with artist ties, can be accused of playing fast and loose with the numbers. If it seems like a new artist blew up overnight, transforming from unknown to inescapable in a blink, chances are that overnight sensation was actually planned 6 months ago by their label's marketing team. It's less discovery and more precision bombing. Speaking of precision bombing, let's talk about a particularly nasty tactic that's leaving artists stranded and labels bleeding cash, what we're calling the pump and dump scheme. Imagine a label looking for a quick buck, or perhaps trying to win a popularity contest. They find an artist, often young, eager, and perhaps not fully developed, and decide to go all in. They inject an absurd amount of money into this artist's career, effectively pumping them full of artificial success. Again, they'll buy millions of bot streams, ensuring the music shows up on every chart. They'll secure prime playlist placements, making the artist seem inescapable. They'll flood social media with paid influencers hyping up every mundane moment. But they'll even arrange for fake awards or high-profile achievements in an incredibly short span of time. The goal? To trick you, the consumer, into believing this artist is the next big thing, a genuine superstar, overflowing with organic success. They want you to think this artist is better, more popular, more real than they actually are. It's a race against time, desperately trying to fake a career until it somehow becomes real. But here's the brutal twist. If this massive, artificial push doesn't translate into genuine, self-sustaining popularity, if the artist doesn't build a solid, loyal fan base or have enough time to actually find themselves and their unique artistic voice, the label executes the dump. They cut their losses. They stop the marketing blitz. They pull the plug on the fake streams. And suddenly, that next big thing disappears faster than a free sample at a food court. These artists are often shelved, their careers essentially put in a freezer or dropped entirely. They're left to flop, their dreams shattered, often with insurmountable debt back to the label. And ironically, this tactic is so unsustainable, it's a major reason why labels themselves are facing increasing financial strain, even going bankrupt. They're spending millions trying to force an artist into profitability, instead of nurturing organic talent, and it's backfiring spectacularly. It's a desperate attempt to find a shortcut to money, and it's turning the industry into a self-consuming snake. Now, let's talk about the foot soldiers in this war for chart dominance, stan culture. On the surface, stanning is about dedicated fans. But in a world of algorithms and streaming numbers, this passion has been weaponized into a powerful and often toxic force that is actively hurting music. Stan culture turns music into a sport with its own set of brutal rules. The most important rule? Your artist must win. This is because many fans have come to live vicariously through these artists, using their image and success as an extension of their own. Their victories are a fan's victories, and this deeply personal investment fuels a culture of obsessive control. The toxicity is so pervasive that it actively drives away potential new fans, who simply don't want to be associated with the hostility. This obsession with winning also fundamentally changes how we experience music. Fans no longer enjoy songs for the artistry. They loop a song to boost its stats, and then often forget about it entirely once it falls off the charts. Music is consumed so fast that artists are pushed to reach unrealistic goals, like releasing an album every single year, with back-to-back tours and non-stop content. This is creatively and physically exhausting for the artist, leaving them with little to no time to explore new sounds, grow, or simply rest. And to win, they'll resort to any tactic. This leads to vicious online rivalries where fans of artists tear each other to shreds, purposefully spreading misinformation and lies even when proven wrong. They'll also edit photos to make an opponent look uglier, all to win an argument and spread hate. The most damaging aspect is how they hold their favorite artists to unrealistic standards of perfection that even the artists themselves don't hold. Fans will publicly attack their own favorite artists' looks and career choices, thinking it's helpful or makes them edgy. Any move that isn't a W, or any perceived mistake, is deemed a valid reason to try and cancel them. It's a dangerous cult where loyalty is everything, and the lines between a healthy fandom and a dangerous mob have blurred. Some of these fans have gone as far as to threaten or even physically hurt the opponent. It's less a community of fans and more a dangerous, unforgiving tribal war, and it's a key reason why so much of today's music feels soulless. So, who's pulling the biggest strings? Names like Roc Nation, Atlantic Records, Republic Records, these aren't just record labels. They run the game, and they know exactly how to play dirty, often operating in a gray area that skirts legality but is ethically bankrupt. Roc Nation, for instance, has been accused of using powerful PR agencies to flood media with endlessly favorable press for their artists, while simultaneously silencing critics and even blackballing artists they can't control. It's less about talent, more about an iron grip on the narrative. Atlantic Records has been caught with multiple artists allegedly buying YouTube views and Spotify streams to pad their numbers. It's not just a rumor, it's an open secret. They're not building careers. They're inflating them like a bouncy castle. And those viral moments, like Cardi B's sudden stratospheric spikes in popularity, they often conveniently coincide with major label-funded media pushes. Coincidence? Probably not. It's not magic, it's marketing, baby. But there's another, more insidious game at play here. These labels want the veterans of the music world out of the way. Think about artists like Drake, Nicki Minaj, Beyonce, or Taylor Swift. For the first time ever, we have a generation of artists who not only rose to the top when people were still buying music, but have managed to stay globally relevant for decades, maintaining incredibly solid fan bases. The industry isn't used to this. Traditionally, artists had their moment, then slowly faded, making way for fresh faces. This enduring popularity is a huge problem for the label's pump and dump strategy. When these seasoned artists still command massive portions of consumer attention and streaming numbers, it makes it incredibly hard for labels to push their new, often manufactured, talent into the spotlight and make them stick. These veterans continue to hold the bar high for artistry and sustained engagement, even as the industry tries to lower it for quick, disposable hits. So what's their tactic? They often resort to orchestrating hate trains and smear campaigns. This involves a coordinated online offensive to generate sustained negative sentiment against a popular artist. For Nicki Minaj, this has often manifested as the industry painting her as bitter or making it seem like she's constantly beefing with other female rappers. This perception is often fueled by the fact that Nicki commands such a dominant share of the female rap landscape, and her immensely loyal fan base, the Barbs, dedicates a significant portion of their consumer spending and attention to her. Labels get frustrated because they cannot easily divert this massive, loyal fan base to their newly minted artists, meaning they cannot profit how they want from new acts. Consequently, many of these newer artists are either encouraged or even instructed by their own labels to take shots at Nicki for clout. It's a calculated move to generate buzz at the expense of Nicki's image and to try and crack her hold on the market. And often, once these new artists are pumped and dumped by their labels and no longer useful, many will backtrack on their beefs, even trying to mend fences with Nicki. Similarly, Taylor Swift has faced multiple coordinated smear campaigns throughout her career, from manufactured narratives about her dating life to criticisms designed to undermine her artistry or public image. These attacks often coincide with periods when she's asserting more control over her career or challenging industry norms. It's a deliberate attempt to knock these powerful, independent-minded artists off their pedestals. These hate trains and smear campaigns can severely impact an artist's mental health and public image, creating an exhausting battle for their reputation. But paradoxically, this aggressive strategy can also bite the labels in the long run. Constantly attacking established talent not only makes the industry look cynical and untrustworthy, but it can also backfire, creating sympathy for the targeted artist and alienating loyal fan bases. It exposes the desperate lengths they'll go to just to control the narrative and force-feed you their next product. Amidst all this digital dirt, it's worth giving credit where it's due. Some artists actually fought the machine, often to their own detriment. They decided that a fair fight was worth the hassle, even if it meant getting their hands dirty. Nicki Minaj was one of the first mainstream artists with the guts to publicly expose the grime. She didn't just tweet about bad Wi-Fi. She called out major players like Jay-Z's Roc Nation and its CEO, Desiree Perez. Nicki has openly accused them of trying to lowball her for lucrative tour deals, attempting to force specific openers on her, and even allegedly trying to blackball her from certain media and touring opportunities. She's questioned whether Roc Nation has an invisible hand in controlling the blogs and outlets that cover her, subtly trying to suppress positive news or amplify negative narratives. It's less about fair competition and more about corporate power plays. And let's not forget her pointed questions about why certain individuals associated with power were receiving pardons that seemed, shall we say, conveniently timed. But the fight for fairness has escalated, reaching the hallowed and often hilarious halls of the courtroom. The recent, intensely public beef between Drake and Kendrick Lamar wasn't just about lyrical jabs. It became a lightning rod for exposing deeper industry machinations. And here's where it gets juicy. Drake's legal team actually filed a petition against Universal Music Group, UMG, his own parent company, and settled with iHeartMedia, alleging a truly audacious scheme. His claim that UMG, which also owns Kendrick Lamar's label, Interscope, designed, financed, and then executed a plan to turn Lamar's brutal diss track, Not Like Us, into a viral mega hit. Why? To harm Drake's business, generate consumer hysteria, and rake in massive revenues. It's less a rap battle, more a carefully orchestrated corporate takeover of the airwaves. A key accusation from Drake's camp is that UMG allegedly made covert payments to a number of platforms, including radio stations, to play and promote Not Like Us without disclosing those payments to listeners. Sound familiar? It's a direct modern-day allegation of payola, showing that the more things change, the more the music industry sticks to its dirtiest tricks. Drake also claimed UMG whitelisted the song, allowing creators to use it freely, ensuring maximum exposure and profit, even with its highly controversial and damaging content. So, while the internet was feasting on every diss, every revelation, the underlying chess game, some argue, was about much more than rap supremacy. Theories suggest this epic feud was potentially engineered to shift control and narrative, push a particular artist or sound to the forefront, controlling the direction of hip-hop for commercial gain, leverage for contract negotiations. For artists like Drake, exposing such practices could be leverage in future contract talks, especially when it comes to masters' ownership and control. Industry plant allegations. The beef itself fueled accusations of industry planting, not just for the loser, but even for the winner, if their meteoric rise felt too perfectly orchestrated by a major label. Nicki, Drake, and Lil Wayne are part of a dying breed, artists with organic longevity. They weren't meticulously built in boardrooms, designed by focus groups, or boosted by bots. They broke through with raw talent and genuine fan bases. And for that very reason, they're dangerous to the system. They represent a past when talent, not algorithms or corporate maneuvering, truly defined success. And that, my friends, is a threat to anyone trying to play puppet master. Ever wonder why new music feels so soulless? Why so many hits vanish faster than your motivation on a Monday morning? It's not your imagination. The fraud we've discussed has fundamentally reshaped the creative process. The biggest reason for this creative decline? TikTok. The app has created a brutal 15-second economy for music. Artists are no longer focused on making a great song you can listen to from start to finish. They are focused on creating a viral moment, a quick, catchy hook that will blow up for a dance challenge. Songs like Paul Russell's Lil Boo Thing and Jack Harlow's First Class went viral because of a short snippet, not the full track. And this gives artists a sense of false hope. When they get on stage, they find the crowd only knows the 15-second part from the TikTok dance, not the rest of the song. This cycle is pushing artists to reach for a quick sound, a beat you can shake your hips to, rather than focus on lyrics, emotional depth, or creative growth. The pressure to go viral means they care more about making a dance trend than a timeless piece of music. And in another glaring example of creative laziness, we've seen a rampage rise of artists relying entirely on the nostalgia of an old song to sell their new music. It's a calculated cheat code for success. By sampling a well-known melody, a new artist can instantly tap into a pre-existing sense of familiarity and affection. Think of how a song like David Guetta and BB Rexha's I'm Good Blue became a global smash by simply using the hook from the 90s hit Blue de Badi. It's not about creating something new. It's about repackaging something old and hoping the audience is too busy scrolling to notice. Instead of masterpieces that last decades, challenging you, inspiring you, becoming part of your personal soundtrack, we get hits that last a weekend. They're designed to go viral, burn bright, and then fizzle out faster than a cheap firework. Real creativity, genuine artistry, and anything that takes more than 15 seconds to appreciate is getting systematically pushed out by numbers, trends, and the all-powerful viral algorithm. It's like turning a gourmet restaurant into a fast food drive-thru. Sure, it's efficient, but where's the flavor? But then you look at an artist like Beyoncé. She's been a global force for decades, not just years. Why? Because she understands that true longevity isn't built on viral snippets or bot streams. It's built on the full package. We're talking about albums that are cohesive, conceptual journeys like Lemonade, Renaissance, or Cowboy Carter. These aren't just collections of singles. They're artistic statements, visual experiences, and deep dives into themes that resonate. She puts out bodies of work that demand your attention, not just your casual scroll. Her songs have layers, her performances are spectacles, and her narratives evolve. While many artists are chasing the algorithm's tail, Beyoncé is often setting the trend, proving that quality, vision, and a commitment to artistry can still defy the disposable nature of today's hits. She's the artistic equivalent of that rare, handcrafted meal in a world of drive-thru burgers. This level of depth, this commitment to creating a lasting impact beyond a 2-minute TikTok soundbite is becoming increasingly rare. It's why so much new music feels like it's designed by a committee of data scientists rather than a passionate artist. The industry's obsession with numbers, trends, and instant virality is, sadly, pushing genuine creative innovation to the sidelines. And now, brace yourselves. Because just when you thought the music industry couldn't get any weirder or more artificial, enter the final boss, AI. The ultimate shortcut. The biggest, most disturbing frontier is the use of AI to literally bring artists back from the dead. Artists like Drake, The Weeknd, and even Kanye West are being cloned with AI-generated vocals, imagining their voice, but without the pesky human emotions, creative differences, or demands for fair pay. But the real ethical abyss opens up when labels resurrect the voices and likenesses of deceased legends. We're already seeing it with vault albums and AI-generated music videos for artists like Juice WRLD and Mac Miller. This isn't about honoring a legacy. It's about milking artists for money, even after death. They're not here to showcase new creativity, to evolve, or to give their consent. Their art is being manufactured for profit. It's a cynical shortcut, preying on the nostalgia and loyalty of longtime fans who would likely buy anything with their beloved artist's name on it. Many suspect these new releases are less about unearthed genius and more about testing the waters. Are fans willing to buy and support what might be entirely AI-generated music from their favorite deceased artists? And the deception isn't limited to deceased artists. Consider the case of the Velvet Sundown. This band seemingly appeared out of nowhere and quickly amassed over 1 million monthly listeners on Spotify, landing on major playlists. Their psych rock sound was catchy, their album art intriguing. Fans discussed them, streamed them, and believed they were a legitimate new act. Then the truth emerged. The Velvet Sundown was entirely AI-generated, from the music and lyrics to the band members' photos and backstory. They were a successful illusion, a complete fabrication designed to trick listeners into believing in a non-existent entity. This wasn't a creative experiment for art's sake. It was a ghost in the machine designed for pure algorithmic consumption. If you thought the music industry was bad now, riddled with fraud and manipulation, imagine a future where the music you're listening to isn't even made by people anymore. Or worse, it's being made by AI, masquerading as the very human artists you once loved. It's not just a theoretical sci-fi nightmare. It's a rapidly approaching reality. The human element, the very soul of music, is now on the chopping block. Beyond the rigged charts, the fake fans, and the manipulative business deals, there is another story. A darker narrative whispered in the shadows of the internet. A set of rumors so pervasive they've become part of the very mythos of the music industry. It's the idea that for some, the price of fame isn't just money or creative control. It's a deal with the devil. The gossip alleges that to get to the very top, an artist must give up their soul. That they've entered into a pact so unholy, they're forced to engage in occult rituals, sell their bodies, or in the most chilling whispers of all, even offer up their loved ones as a sacrifice for success. You'll see these theories explode online every time an artist blows up overnight, and a family member or friend tragically dies in a sudden, seemingly random accident. To many, it's not a coincidence, it's a cold, hard receipt. This narrative is also why so many relationships in Hollywood feel fake. These aren't just two people in love. They're two brands in business. They're a PR relationship, a contractual agreement designed to keep both artists relevant, to manage their image, and to generate headlines. The idea of true love and romance is simply another product to sell, a performance that keeps the money machine churning. The industry, it seems, has become so focused on the business side that it's no longer just about selling records. It's about selling every single aspect of an artist's life, from their love life to their deepest, darkest tragedies. The rumors persist because they reflect a chilling truth about the industry. It can be so ruthlessly cutthroat, so utterly devoid of humanity, that people are willing to believe it's run by forces far darker than just corporate greed. It's about the total commodification of the human experience and a willingness to do literally anything for the promise of fame. In this world, the human element isn't just on the chopping block. It might be the ultimate offering. So, after all this talk of bots, bribes, and pump and dump schemes, if you're an aspiring artist or even just a curious fan, a crucial question emerges. Is it even worth signing to a major label anymore? Or is the independent route the only path to genuine artistry and sustainable success? The pros, they offer massive financial backing for recording, marketing, and touring. Money most artists can only dream of. They have the industry connections, the big PR teams, and established distribution channels that can potentially launch you globally. It's the promise of a rocket ship to stardom. The cons, but that rocket ship comes with a price tag. You typically lose significant creative control, often getting forced into commercially viable boxes. Your profit share can be minuscule, sometimes as low as 20%, with the label recouping their hefty investment before you see real money. And let's not forget the 99% shelving rate. Most signed artists simply get lost in a massive roster, their careers left to wither after the initial push. You essentially sign away ownership of your music, often for decades. Then there's the independent artist route. The pros, you retain full creative control. Your art, your vision, no compromises. You own your masters and publishing, meaning a significantly higher profit share from your work. You can build direct, authentic relationships with your fans, cutting out the middleman. With digital distributors and social media, the barriers to getting your music out are lower than ever. The cons, but independence means you bear all the financial risk and workload. You're your own manager, marketer, accountant, and booking agent. Resources for large-scale promotion are limited, and it's incredibly hard to break through the sheer noise of an oversaturated market. Recent changes by streaming platforms, like minimum stream thresholds for payouts, also disproportionately impact smaller independent artists, making it even harder to earn a living. So, is there a right answer? It depends on your goals. Do you chase the major label lottery, knowing the odds are stacked against you, but the potential payoff is enormous? Or do you embrace the grind of independence, holding onto your art and your profits, but facing an uphill battle for visibility? In an industry built on smoke and mirrors, the choice is more complex and more personal than ever before. So no, you're not imagining it. You're not out of touch. The music really is getting faker, shorter, and, dare I say it, harder to genuinely love. That uncomfortable feeling in your gut? That's your inner audiophile screaming for help. You're not listening to what's genuinely popular or what people connect with. You're listening to what was paid to be pushed, optimized to go viral, and engineered to exist solely to game a broken system. But if you made it to the end of this video, wading through the murky waters of music industry fraud, then you're part of the few that still care. You want truth. You want real music. And that, in itself, is a powerful act of rebellion. Let's keep talking. Drop a comment below. Who do you believe is industry planted? Who, in this fabricated landscape, is still the real deal? Because at the end of the day, it's not just about music anymore. It's about control. And now you know.